Thank you for the praise, and also thank you, praise team, for the inspirational leading of the praise. Life is not always predictable. You don't know what is waiting for you around the corner. Things happen without giving you a full notice. That was what I experienced this time with my eyes. One morning I woke up and I saw everything in double. And that's how I lived for 2 months. Last week I went to see a specialist as a follow-up, and he said my eye issue is resolved now. I don't need to come back for a follow-up, he said. So I asked him, what happened? Was I just unlucky? And he said, yes. It just happens sometimes. Life is not always predictable. You wake up in the morning, you don't know what is waiting for you. Jesus knew very well that is what life is. Jesus knew that life is unpredictable. And that's what we send in today's scripture passage. The servant don't know when the master will come home. The owner of the house doesn't know when the thief will break in. And we don't know when Jesus will come back. Unpredictability of life. And this unpredictability causes much anxiety within us. We don't like things to be unpredictable. We like things to be predictable, even though it is boring. We like life to be predictable because then we can control it. But when life is unpredictable, it is beyond our control and we become vulnerable. And nobody wants to feel vulnerable. But what can you do? The unpredictability of life is the essential nature of life. That's what life is. What can you do? You cannot change life. That's what life is. That's what Proverbs said. Do not boast about tomorrow, for you do not know what a day may bring. You don't even know what today may bring to you. So do not boast about tomorrow. So we cannot change the unpredictability of life, but we can change ourselves. We may not change the essential nature of life, but we can change ourselves who respond to the essential nature of life. How do we change ourselves? Jesus said, be ready. That's what Jesus said. That's how we change ourselves. Be ready. Be dressed for action. Like ready to move and have your lamps lit. Be awake. You're awake. You're awake. So do not just live day by day without thinking mindlessly. Be awake about what is going on in you and be ready to respond to whatever comes to you. And question is, how can you be ready for the things that did not come yet? How can you be ready for the things that you don't know what that is? For example, how would I prepare myself or be ready when all of a sudden my eye vision is gone and I see double vision? How would I prepare myself for that? We cannot be ready for every situation that we encounter because too many variables. Too many variables. There's so much you can do to be ready. So I realize being ready does not mean to have a solution for every situation that you encounter. That's not what it means to be ready. Being ready does not mean to have a solution for every situation that you are going to face. The early Christians had wrong assumption about Jesus' return. They thought that Jesus would come immediately. While they were living, they thought that Jesus would come. But Jesus did not come. So many Christians, early Christians, were disappointed. And they gave up waiting. Jesus is not coming. I thought he was coming in my time, but he's not coming. So they started losing their faith. And especially when persecution comes, and then the persecution is hard to bear, a lot of people left Christian community. They left their faith. That when you read book of Hebrews, you see that. A lot of people left, but disciples never gave up. That taught me a lesson. Being ready means preparing yourself not to give up, no matter what situation may come to you. I'm ready not to give up. Be ready not to give up. Whatever situation may come to you, do not give up. Being ready is about your heart, your mind, and your attitude. You don't know what will happen to you. You don't know whether you will have enough power to be able to deal with your situation. You don't know whether you have skills and resources to be able to deal with the situation that they come to you. Many times the situation may be beyond your power to control. But being ready means to accept your situation without complaining. You accept whatever comes to you. Be ready to live with it and deal with it. Okay, situation, if you want to come. I'm ready to face you. I'm ready to accept you. I'm ready to deal with you. But another thing that I realize, it's not just about strong will. Being ready does not mean to have a strong will not to give up. It's not just about your willpower. If you can't handle your problems with your willpower, you just do it. That's relatively easy. If it is something that you can do it with your willpower, I think that's relatively very easy to do. You just make up your mind and do it. But there are things you cannot do with your willpower alone. There are situations where your willpower becomes useless. No matter how strongly you will, you cannot do anything about it. We need more than our willpower to be ready. So to be ready does not mean to have a just strong willpower, but we need more than that. What do we need? I learned that we need faith. Faith. Faith in God. Being ready means preparing faith in God. When the situation is right in front of you, you cannot have faith. That's not how faith works. But while in ordinary time, you prepare yourself with faith. So when the situation comes, you can deal with that through your faith. When you cannot, God can. When you cannot, God can. We trust that when I cannot do anything about it, God can. You accept your situation without complaining, but you trust in God. even when there is nothing you can do. Even when there's nothing you can do. That can drive you crazy when there's nothing that you can do. But even then, we trust in God. Even then. You leave your situation in God's hand. And that does not mean that you do nothing. Doing nothing means you give up. That's not what it means to leave your situation in God's hand. You try your best, but you will hit the wall of your helplessness. In your life, even though you try your best, you will hit the wall of your powerlessness and helplessness. Even then, instead of giving up, you trust God will show you the way out. And He will actually help you by empowering you, by resolving your issues, by solving your problems, by showing you the way out. You don't give up because of your strong will. You don't give up because of your hope in God's help. When I had a double vision, I couldn't do much. I couldn't even read my script, so I had a hard time reading. I almost had to memorize everything. And I couldn't drive, so Youngmi had to drive me everywhere. And Joseph Myung is an optometrist. He listens to my sermon online. And he heard about my eye problem. And he came all the way down from Barrie with all the equipment just to see me on Sunday. So just before the service, he examined my eyes and then he made prescription for prism lens. After prism lens, I put it on my eyes and I was okay. I was able to drive, I was able to read. And many people prayed for me. And many people were concerned. I thank you for your prayers and concern. And God shows the way out. My friends, when you struggle, you feel alone. That's a greater struggle, more than your problems. Sometimes you feel the absence of God. That's very dark. When you feel the absence of God, that's pretty dark. You know what the early Christians had to experience first? The first thing they experienced, do you know what that was? That was absence of Jesus. That's what they experienced first. Before they experienced anything else, they experienced the absence of Jesus. While Jesus was with them all the time for 3 years. Jesus did everything. He healed them. He did the miracles. He healed people. He did all the teachings. And then with the authorities, he was the one who fought against the authorities. Disciples, they didn't do anything. They just sitting there and they're observing what Jesus was doing. And all of a sudden, this teacher is gone. And then the problem was not any better. Jesus created so much controversies, and these controversies became greater after Jesus left. And so they were all alone dealing with all the problems in their lives. And I try to imagine what the disciples must have felt like in that time. I mean, they were with Jesus all the time, but all of a sudden Jesus gone. They had to deal with all their, they didn't know what to do. And John captured that image very clearly. When it was evening on that day, the first day of the week, and the doors of the house where the disciples had met were locked for fear of the Jews. The disciples were behind the locked doors. They were trembling. They could not even go out. They didn't know what to do. behind the locked doors. That's what we feel sometimes. We feel all alone, and we feel the absence of God. And I realized the absence of God teaches us better than the presence of God. God gives us the absence of God. And Kierkegaard, existentialist philosopher, he said, when you baby holds the mother's skirt and then walk, the mother is present and helps the baby. When the baby is able to walk alone, mother disappears, so that baby can walk alone. Learn to walk alone. Be strong, be independent. When you're weak and young, God's presence helps you, guides you. But as you are able to walk on your own, sometimes God disappears. And through that absence of God, we search for God. We desire for God more urgently, more intensely. When God is always present, you take for granted. But when God is absent, you search for God. You urgently pray for God's presence. So absence of God sometimes teaches us more than the presence of God. When the right time comes, God will show himself. God will appear to you. God will strengthen you. God will guide you. God will show you the way. So even when you feel the absence of God, do not give up. That's when you need faith. Be ready to wait. God will come to you at an unexpected hour. That's what Jesus said today. You also must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour. God will come to you at an unexpected hour, and he will pull you out of your troubles. Today's August 10th. In a few more days, you'll have August 15th. August 15th is a very special day for Koreans. That was a day when Koreans were released from the Japanese occupation, colonialism. For 30-some years, they were struggling. They didn't know when their country will be liberated and free. And waiting and waiting and waiting. On August 15th, 1945, finally, at an unexpected hour, God freed them. They experienced the power of God's liberation. So Korean churches, they celebrate today as Liberation Day. God will come to you. Sometimes you may experience the absence of God, but God will come to you at an unexpected hour, and you will come out stronger. Stronger than ever before. You will understand God much more deeply. We only know this much about God. We only know this much about faith. But when you experience all these things, your understanding of God, your understanding of faith will become larger and bigger. May God bless you when you struggle, especially when you experience and feel the absence of God.